3 years after marrying my husband, I still hadn't borne him a child. Using this as an excuse, he brought his concubine's son to force me out of the marriage. In a fit of rage, I slept with a stranger outside. A month later, I discovered I was pregnant. I was stunned. Wasn't I supposed to be infertile? If it wasn't me, then it must be my husband. But if he was incapable, how did his concubine conceive? My maid Sueya brought a bowl of bird's nest soup. I gagged. She replaced it with chicken soup. I gagged again. She hurriedly brought a bowl of plain congee. I snatched it and ate it with relish. We both looked up, our eyes meeting. Sueya scanned me from head to toe, her gaze finally settling on my belly. Madam, your monthly period hasn't come this month, has it? I nodded blankly, connecting it to my recent drowsiness and craving for sour foods. Holy mother of pearls! Could it be from that day of madness? My face flushed as red as a monkey's bottom. Sueya clasped my hand tightly, her eyes glistening. After 3 years of longing, our child had finally come, though in such an unexpected way. My lady, her voice trembled. So it wasn't you who couldn't conceive. My dear girl, even now she couldn't forget to defend me. Sueya. My voice trembled too. Forget the child. Your mistress here. I'm afraid I'm going to be drowned in a pig cage. The urgent matter now was to find the adulterer. I carefully recalled that day. Lu Yuming forced me to bring his concubine into the mansion, demanding their 4-year-old son be recognized as his legitimate heir. My in-laws, usually pampered by my attentive care, remained silent. Madam Song, you've borne no children in 3 years of marriage to the Lu household. I could have divorced you. But considering your diligence in managing the household and your filial piety toward your parents, I'll grant you a divorce. Lu Yuming's gaze was icy. I glanced at the crowd of concubines gathered outside the courtyard. Watching the spectacle, my voice was dry. I can register the child under my name. Why must we divorce? I am not a jealous woman. If he fancies that mistress, let him bring her into the household. One more won't make a difference. As for the child of that mistress, it would naturally be registered under my name. Why make such a fuss? The mistress, named Chen Xiao, wrung her handkerchief coquettishly. Forgive me, madam. Chen Xiao was simply afraid. With so many concubines in the husband's household, none have conceived these years. Yet mine, born outside these walls, has grown safely to 4 years old. The implications of this are terrifying when one thinks deeply about them. I was both shocked and furious. I had never even met her. Yet she came in and immediately slandered me. Hearing this, the faces of the other concubines, who had been watching the spectacle, all changed, and they began whispering among themselves. I glared angrily at Lu Yuming. Husband, do you think that too? All these years, bearing no heir. I felt deeply indebted to the Lu family. Not only had I taken concubine after concubine for Lu Yuming, but I treated them better than my own daughter. Wait, I don't have a daughter. Anyway, I treated them exceptionally well. Their quarters were clean, sunny courtyards. Their food was meticulously selected. Seasonal tonics were never missed. I even regularly invited physicians to tend to their health. Each of them grew plump and fair under my care, radiant and healthy. For 3 years I devoted myself wholeheartedly. Yet the Lu family remained like barren wasteland, not a single sprout took root. Could this too be my fault? Lu Yuming coldly spat out. If not for you, why would the Lu family have only this one heir? I struggled to turn and face my in-laws. If I treated the concubines like my own daughters, then these two were revered as my very ancestors. I personally attended to their every need, serving tea, fetching water, managing their meals and daily routines. A single cough would have me by their bedside, tending to them day and night without rest. A frown would drive me to find ways to lift their spirits. The maids and matrons who came with my dowry pitied me, but I knew I was merely soothing my own guilt. And now, These two people I regarded as my own parents stared at me with grim faces. We praised you for your filial piety and virtue. Yet you turned out to be such a vicious person. The concubines gathered at the doorway could no longer contain themselves. The least favored among them stepped forward. I always wondered how a mistress could be so kind-hearted. Turns out you're a smiling tiger. Exactly. I thought I'd married into a good family. But you can't judge a book by its cover. They were all furious and upset. They must have realized that if not for me, they would have been the ones bearing the Liu family's first son and grandson. Suddenly, I became the target of everyone's anger. Chen Xiao watched me triumphantly, a smug smile curling her lips. Watching this crowd had received my kindness only to repay it with betrayal. I suddenly felt utterly disillusioned. So I sprang to my feet. Divorce it is. But Liu Yuming, do you know I can take back every single item of my dowry? Unexpectedly, the first to stand was my mother-in-law. Impossible. Once married into the Liu family. The dowry belongs to the Liu family. How could you take it back? I had foolishly believed my mother-in-law had shown me kindness over the years. But it turned out she only cared about my dowry. Mother-in-law, perhaps you should review our dynasty's legal code. If you refuse to return the dowry, I can report your Liu family to the prefectural magistrate. I stared at her expressionlessly. My mother-in-law hadn't expected the usually meek and considerate me to retort so stiffly. She hurried to look at Liu Yuming. The substantial dowry I brought as a bride is the primary source sustaining the Liu family's current standing. If it were all returned, wouldn't that be like taking her life? Liu Yuming roared angrily. How dare you speak to your mother like that? Songshi, if you continue this insolence, I will divorce you. You won't get a single penny of your dowry. I never imagined he could be so shameless. Divorce me. Fine. But during the national mourning that year, who couldn't bear the loneliness and slept with the maid in the room? And who decided to take a concubine after the mourning period? If you divorce me, I'll sue you. Well, both go down together. Failing to observe mourning during the national period, Liu Yuming, this newly appointed Hanlin Academy compiler, would surely lose his position. You. The Liu family trio glared at me in unison. Poisonous woman. Heh. Same to you. I sneered. 3 years into our marriage, Liu Yuming never lifted a finger for household affairs. Every major and minor matter in the Liu household fell to me. They've given me plenty of leverage. Divorce. Return every single item of my dowry, or we both go down together. I stared him down, refusing to budge an inch. Liu Yuming looked at me as if had never known me. Song Yue, how did you become like this? Ha. Men really are dogs. Not only do they eat shit all day, but when you hit them, they bite back. Unable to bear facing the Liu family's hypocrisy, I returned to my maternal home the very day I got the divorce papers. Father had passed away, and now my sister-in-law ruled the Song household. That was why Liu Yuming had suddenly turned on me. Mother stroked my hair. Who would have thought Liu Yuming was such a heartless bastard? Your father personally nurtured his rise. Bitterness welled in my heart. Had father not vouched for him as ambitious and trustworthy, I never would have married him so lightly. He had some talent and climbed the social ladder swiftly on the Song family's coattails. Now that had tasted success, his first act was to abandon his first wife. My sister-in-law came bearing pastries and sighed. You've suffered, little sister, with the Song family's standing and your virtue. Remarriage shouldn't be difficult, but this reputation of infertility spreading, it won't do you any favors. I knew what she feared, that my presence in the Song household as a divorced woman would tarnish the family name, making it harder for her own daughter to marry well. The Song residence was no longer my home. My heart was filled with profound distress. Mother urged me to go out and clear my mind, so I went to the Great Enlightenment Temple on the outskirts of the capital to burn incense. I wanted to ask the Buddha, why must a woman like me, Song Yueho, has lived a life of virtue and self-sacrifice, enduring hardship without complaint, end up like this? After paying respects and offering incense, I wandered aimlessly through the temple grounds. It was neither a festival nor a spring outing season. Leaving Daju Temple eerily quiet. Suddenly, a deafening crash of furniture overturning echoed from a secluded meditation room. As if compelled by some unseen force, I pushed open the door. A drunken young man staggered about, clutching a wine flask. His attire suggested he was no commoner. The moment he saw me, he lunged forward. "Ringier, is that you?" I started to scream, but he yanked me into his arms, his lips smashing against mine. My mind went blank. My heart nearly stopped. After a long struggle, he finally released me, but by then, I couldn't make a sound. "Ringier, Ringier, don't leave me. What does he have that I don't? Why did you betray me?" His head fell onto my shoulder, his long lashes brushing my neck, sending shivers down my spine. Alas. Two betrayed souls under the same sky. Why must we have ever known each other? I stood dazed, letting him have his way, his touch stirring a feverish heat through me. Lu Yuming hadn't touched me in so long. I'd forgotten I was a woman of flesh and blood. I fought desperately to contain the turmoil within, my heart torn. "Buddha, did you hear my complaints earlier and send this man to compensate me? If so, to hell with chastity. To hell with wifely virtue today. I'll indulge myself." A rush of blood surged through me as I shoved him onto the bed. Before his eyes, I shed layer after layer of outer garments, revealing the lotus-patterned undershirt beneath. He lay there, his eyes glazed over as if filled with water, staring blankly like a lamb awaiting slaughter. "My lord, I'm coming." I grinned savagely as I mounted him. This skin was too perfect. This body too robust. I took him 3 times in a row. We rolled and tumbled, oblivious to heaven and earth. Only when I was utterly spent did I roll off him. By then, he had fallen into a deep sleep. My face glowed with satisfied bashfulness. Before leaving, I made sure to clean us both, dressed him, and tucked the thin quilt around him. The moment I stepped outside, I bumped into Tsueya, her face flushed, waiting by the door. My own face instantly turned crimson. The door was so thin she must have heard everything inside. "Madam," we spoke simultaneously, then fell silent in unspoken agreement. I returned to the Song residence with a spring in my step. My earlier gloom had vanished entirely. I went straight to my elder brother's study, demanding he take my side. We'd been close since childhood, but growing apart after marrying. I understood the fickleness of human relationships and didn't want to trouble him. But after what just happened, I had a change of heart. I was his own flesh and blood. Who else should stand up for me if not him? So I declared with righteous indignation. "Lu Yuming is ungrateful. He favors his concubine over his wife. Seeing father gone, he thinks he can bully the Song family. Clearly, he doesn't hold his elder brother in any regard." Hearing this, my brother slammed his fist on the table and leapt to his feet. "That bastard Lu Yuming. Remember how he used to follow you around, fawning and flattering? Now he thinks his wings have grown strong enough to do as he pleases." Watching his furious retreat, I knew I'd overthought things. My brother remained the same brother, had always favored martial arts over scholarship, settling for a low-ranking military post. Father's legacy had fallen cheaply to that Lu scoundrel, but he was the big shot in the capital. Lu Yuming had seriously underestimated his connections. My brother called his own men together. They all loved swords and martial arts. And deep down, they looked down on a pretty boy like Lu Yuming who'd risen by clinging to his wife's family. They marched in force and banged on the Lu family's gate. Lu Yuming, who'd been so cold and hostile toward me, was now scared out of his wits. "Uncle, what are you? Who the hell are you calling uncle? How dare you mistreat my sister and still have the nerve to address me? Uncle, you misunderstand. It was your sister who cut off the Lu family line. I had no choice but to. Fuck off. Look at this courtyard full of beauties, all wives I arranged for you. Where else would you find such a virtuous bride?" My brother, a martial man, spoke bluntly, his words reddening Lu Yuming's face. The other brothers chimed in, hurling insults at Lu Yuming, calling him a degenerate scoundrel and a piece of trash. Lu Yuming glanced at his fiercely intimidating elder brother, backed by several sons and nephews from his superior's family. The words had been about to say died in his throat. Lu Yuming, cut the nonsense. I never approved of my sister marrying a pretty boy like you. Return her dowry, and our families sever ties forever. Before evening fell, I retrieved every single item from the dowry ID brought to the Lu household. During the day, I followed my elder brother as he instructed me to cross off each item on the dowry list and have it carried away. Even the golden hairpin and jade bracelet worn by my mother-in-law, I ordered the maidservants to remove. If you disdain me, then don't covet my possessions. My mother-in-law wailed and threw a tantrum, claiming I had given them to her and there was no justification for forcibly taking them back. You are her mother-in-law. Naturally, she should honor you, but now that she leaves the Lu household, her dowry must be taken in full to her future husband's family. There is no reason for it to remain with her former husband, my brother said with no small amount of sarcasm. Lu Yuming's face turned ashen upon hearing this, and he couldn't help but mutter, marrying again so soon after divorce. Such a poor keeper. Before he could finish, he received a solid punch from my brother. At that moment, I felt utterly satisfied, though a lingering worry crept in afterward. Lu Yuming was the type to hold grudges. While he couldn't match my brother in a fistfight, he might resort to underhanded tactics. After all, civil officials held higher status than military officers in this dynasty. Even so, I couldn't suppress my inner joy. At supper, I raised my cup generously to thank my brother for his help. He beamed. Little sister, you used to be so spirited when we were young, we were inseparable. But after you were locked away learning etiquette, you grew so prim and proper. Then you married that pretty boy, and we drifted apart even more. Only now do you seem to be returning to your childhood self. My shame deepened. All these years, I'd been so fixated on being the virtuous matriarch of the Lu household that I'd lost sight of who I truly was. My sister-in-law playfully nudged my brother. What are you saying? She's married now, how could she ever be like she was as a child? A moment of silence fell over the room. Mother cautiously took a sip of wine, using it to mask the awkwardness. My brother frowned, but before he could react, I interrupted. This ordeal has shown me you'll always be my rock. I was blinded by foolishness before, but I'll never distance myself from you again. My brother's brow relaxed, but now my sister-in-law frowned. Since all my dowry is being returned today, I ask for your support in one more matter: establishing my own household. The room fell silent in shock. Mother was the first to rise. Nonsense. How can a woman establish her own household? My brother hesitated. Do you know that only women without husbands or children can establish a female-headed household? Life will be very difficult. Those female-headed households without support will indeed struggle. I replied, but my dowry is sufficient to support myself. And with the Song family backing me, life will surely improve. I looked earnestly at my brother. After all these years of suffering in the Lu household, I've seen through it. Rather than spending my days currying favor with my in-laws, I'd rather live freely. In the future, you and your wife should have several children. Let my nephews take care of me in my old age. My brother's hand tightened and relaxed around his wine cup. Though a warrior, he understood the stakes. 3 years childless in the Lu household, even with the Song family's backing. My prospects for a good remarriage were slim. He glanced at my sister-in-law, knowing I refused to live under someone else's roof, watching their every move. Fine. My brother gritted his teeth. My sister won't endure that bullshit any longer. If anyone dares bully you, I'll beat them to a pulp. Soon after, I moved out of the Song residence. I used my dowry to buy a small courtyard and brought along several personal servants. My brother ran around trying to establish me as an independent female household, but hit walls everywhere. After all, with my birth family still around, Setting up an independent female household was shocking. Fortunately, the Song family still had some connections, and they managed to pull it off. That day, I pulled Sueya close and drank a whole pot of green brew spring wine. The next day, I noticed something was off with my body. The mat hit was exactly from that time at the Great Enlightenment Temple. Always believed I couldn't conceive, which is why I let myself go that day. Now that I've brought new life into the world, it feels like the sky has fallen. My lady, Sueya gripped my hand nervously. You've established your own household. You won't be drowned in a pig's cage, as long as we dispose of this child quietly. No one will ever know. My emotions were complex and conflicted. Thinking back on 3 years of torment at the Liu household, I longed for a chance to shove my belly in Liu Yuming's face. Open your dog eyes and say's it you who can't bear children? Or is it this woman who can't? Sueya. Could I keep this child? I looked at her with earnest pleading. Sueya paled in shock. Madam, aren't you afraid of being drowned in public scorn? Seeing my dejected expression, Sueya offered another suggestion. Or perhaps, madam, you could seek out that gentleman from that night. My face flushed crimson. If I hadn't taken advantage of him being unconscious that night, I wouldn't have behaved so recklessly, though he was utterly drunk. His attire and bearing clearly marked him as a nobleman's son. If he woke to discover had been forced, who knows how furious and humiliated he'd be. Seeking him out would be like walking into a trap. No, absolutely not. I shook my head like a bobblehead. Just then, a messenger from my maternal home arrived with news. My elder brother had been accused of abuse of power and corruption. He was now under investigation by his superiors and forbidden to return home. I knew instantly this was Liu Yuming's doing. Rushing back to the Song residence, I overheard my sister-in-law wailing in mother's room. All because of my sister. My husband stood up for her, only for Liu Yuming to accuse him of assaulting an official and insulting elders. Then he colluded with several censors to frame my husband for corruption and perverting justice. I pushed open the door. My sister-in-law, her eyes red and swollen, glared at me fiercely. Out of nowhere, she brings this undeserved calamity upon us. Unable to endure her in-laws, she comes to plague her own family. Truly a disaster magnet. My mother finally couldn't hold back. She is still a daughter of the Song family. What's wrong with siblings supporting each other? It's the Liu family who've gone too far. Why blame her? My sister-in-law flared. Fine. You're the real family here, and I'm just an outsider. I see there's no place for me in this household anymore. She swept her sleeves and stormed off. Returning to her parents' home, mother was so enraged and distressed she nearly fainted. I hurriedly helped her to bed and ordered servants to fetch a physician. After settling her, I entrusted the inner quarters to mother's personal nurse and whispered, "Rest assured, mother, I will find a way to rescue my elder brother." I visited every household connected to my brother. They all told me the situation now depended entirely on my brother's superior officer. If he would intercede on my brother's behalf, there would be no trouble. My brother served in the military command office. When I rushed there, I learned the commander had left the city. Those inside, who were close to my brother, sympathized deeply with me. They quietly informed me the commander had gone to the Great Enlightenment Temple on the outskirts of the capital. Hearing Great Enlightenment Temple, my heart pounded violently. Amitabha Buddha, what a coincidence. After desecrating that sacred place, I never intended to set foot there again. But now, I had no choice but to steel myself and go back. Entering Daju Temple once more, gazing at the hall filled with divine statues, I placed my hand on my lower abdomen. For a moment, I felt dazed. That day, was I praying to the child granting Guanyin? Just then, a figure suddenly came into view. My heart nearly skipped a beat. Those brows, those eyes, and below that narrow waist and pert hips. My face flushed crimson, as if it might bleed, and I turned to leave. Behind me, Sueya. unaware of what had happened, called out urgently, "Madam, weren't you looking for the commander?" Hearing this, the figure abruptly looked up. Our eyes met, and he froze. Later I learned that Zhao Tuo, the military commander, was a connected figure. His mother was the emperor's cousin, the princess of Qingyang. Had he not been obsessed with swords and spears, utterly disinterested in scholarship, he wouldn't have remained a mere commander. No wonder his physique was so impressive, nothing like Lu Yuming's frail, bookish frame. But at that moment, as I gazed at him, my mind was filled only with the memory of our passionate night together. "My lady, what business brings you to Zhao?" Zhao Tuo glanced at the woman's hairpin at the nape of my neck, then fixed his gaze firmly on my face. Could he be remembering something? I swallowed hard. Might I ask? "Your Excellency, would you consider marriage?" Ahem. Sueya behind me nearly choked on her own spit. Zhao Tuo's trusted aide also looked utterly dumbfounded. Oh no. My brain had completely frozen. How did those words just slip out? I wanted to slap myself twice. Hastily, I changed the subject. "What brings you to Great Enlightenment Temple, sir?" Damn it. Wasn't that like drawing attention to something you're hiding? "Looking for someone." His reply was crisp and direct, showing no offense at my abruptness. "Looking for whom? What do you think I'm looking for, madam?" Do you know something, madam?" He pressed closer, an eerily familiar aura enveloping me. I know nothing." I fled in panic. Only when I reached the temple gates did Sueya finally catch up. Panting, "Madam, why are you running? I haven't asked about your uncle yet." Aw. Silly Sueya. If he found out who I was, my brother would never see the light of day again. But who would have thought my brother returned home the very next day? Rumor had it Zhao Tuo personally vouched for him, declaring his loyalty and bravery, insisting he was incapable of corruption or perverting justice. As for the incident with Lu Yuming, there must have been other circumstances involved. My brother told me excitedly. "Sis, this is all thanks to you," my colleague said after you met with the commander. He immediately vouched for my release. This was completely unexpected. Could he have already sensed something and been trying to lure the snake out of its hole? Not at all. It's because you've always been diligent in your duties and well liked by others that Zhao vouched for you. I could only offer a flimsy excuse. My sister-in-law, learning of my brother's return, had also come back from her parents' home. Seeing me, she looked rather awkward. Hearing my brother's words, she added with a touch of bitterness, "Our family spent so much silver trying to curry favor with Magistrate Zhao. Yet nothing came of it. But you, little sister, met with him once, and your brother was released. Your influence is truly remarkable." My brother flew into a rage. "Say another word to tarnish my sister's reputation, and don't blame me for losing my temper." But I remained silent, my conscience gnawing at me. In a way, my sister-in-law was right. Only I hadn't used any tricks. I'd forced myself upon her. Back at my own residence, I urgently summoned Sueya. "Go get me an abortion potion immediately." Sueya was baffled. "Madam, you wanted to keep this child before. Why the sudden change of heart?" Back then, not knowing the child's father, I still clung to hope. But now, even if Zhao Tuo forgave me, Princess Qingyang would never spare me. Zhao Tuo's status is too exalted. How could he be linked to a woman like me, divorced from her husband? And besides, my brother still serves under Zhao Tuo. In short, this child cannot be kept, I declared firmly. But abortion herbs aren't something you just grab. "Madam, you haven't even seen a doctor. How can you be certain you're pregnant?" Right, maybe it's just a delayed period or indigestion. So the next day, Sueya and I bundled up tightly and headed to a clinic. But who would have thought we'd run into Lu Yuming right outside the clinic on the street? He was just helping Chen Xiao out of the jewelry shop across the way. "Song Yue." He frowned and called out, Damn it. 3 years as husband and wife made us too familiar. Even dressed like this. He still recognized me. I wanted nothing to do with him, but he wouldn't let it go. Tell your brother to behave himself from now on. If he keeps acting so arrogant and tyrannical, he won't be so lucky next time. Seeing the lingering bruises on his face, I couldn't resist the sarcasm. My brother conducts himself with honor and integrity. He has nothing to fear from false accusations. It is you, the ungrateful one, who favored a concubine over your wife, shamelessly coveting my dowry. You should be the one wary of retribution. You Lu Yuming seethed with rage. Chen Qiao, standing beside him, immediately stepped forward. You, a barren woman divorced from her husband, why aren't you staying home? What are you parading around here for? Seeing her, a sudden thought flashed through my mind. If Lu Yuming couldn't conceive, how did she get her child? Miss Chen Qiao, don't you have any idea who can bear children and who can't? That's obvious. I can. And you can't. I know you can bear children, but you know very well who you had them with, don't you? I stared at her with a mocking expression. Chunkyou's face turned pale. She quickly glanced at Lu Yuming. I don't know what nonsense you're spouting. Seeing her flustered state, I knew there must be hidden circumstances here. Lu Yuming roared angrily. You can't bear children yourself, so you're stirring up trouble and making baseless accusations. A surge of anger welled up inside me, and I unconsciously thrust out my stomach. Who says I can't bear children? Lu Yuming and Chen Qiao both stared at my flat stomach. You are pregnant. Damn. I let it slip. Just as I struggled for words, a figure stepped in front of me. Editor Lu. Publicly humiliating a woman is hardly the conduct of a gentleman. Zhao Tuo appeared out of nowhere. Lu Yuming was startled to see him and hastily explained. Minister Zhao. Song Yue was my former wife. She humiliated me first. I witnessed everything just now. I overlooked your false accusation against my subordinate. But now you've humiliated his sister. Do you truly believe no one in the capital can rein you in? Zhao Tuo's gaze was icy. Lu Yuming froze, stunned by his sharp rebuke. Only when Chen Qiao tugged hard at his sleeve did he snap back to reality. He glanced at Zhao Tuo's expression, then shifted his eyes to me standing behind him, suspicion creeping across his face. This humble official dares not. He trailed off, retreating with a sheepish shuffle. Once he was out of earshot, Zhao Tuo turned, his gaze shifting from my face to my belly. Is what he said true? What's true or not? Are you pregnant? No. Is that something you just blurred out? My face instantly turned as red as a boiled shrimp. What are you talking about? Magistrate Zhao. I was just joking with Lu Yuming. The weather is lovely today. Haha. Magistrate. Take your time strolling. I'll be on my way. I grabbed Shui's arm and dragged her away. Babbling incoherently, Zhao Tuo was left standing alone, his gaze lingering suspiciously on the clinic sign just a few steps away. That was a clinic renowned for its gynecology. Only after fleeing back home did Sueya and I come to our senses. Today's appointment and the abortion medicine had fallen through. Mistress. I can't shake the feeling that Magistrate Zhao was following us. My heart skipped a beat. Sueya had read my thoughts. Do you think he knows about that day? About you? Heavens. Shed guessed exactly what I was thinking. Sueya suddenly blurted out. Magistrate Zhao. Could he possibly want you to take responsibility? I gaped at her. Sueya. Do you have any idea how many women in the capital would jump at the chance to take responsibility for him? Your mistress here probably doesn't even qualify. Just as we were both looking gloomy, the gatekeeper announced someone had arrived bearing gifts. Confused, I ordered the gate opened. Several servants filed in, carrying gift boxes, bird's nest, ginseng, donkey hide gelatin, deer antler. I was utterly dumbfounded. A well-dressed steward presented a gift list, bowing respectfully as he addressed me. Madam, a small token of our esteem, for your health. For my health. Hey, what's this supposed to mean? Before I could press further, the steward and servants set down the gifts and hurried away. I couldn't even catch up. Sueya flipped through the gift boxes, murmuring in admiration, "Madam, these are all top-grade tonics. Whoever sent them must be very kind." My gaze fixed on the tiny Zhao character in the corner of the gift list, my mind in turmoil. Just then, Mother arrived with my sister-in-law to visit me. They were utterly astonished by the courtyard filled with gifts. My sister-in-law remarked with a sarcastic edge, "Since your divorce, dear, your popularity seems to have soared. People are even sending you gifts now." She leaned in mysteriously. "Those men who just left. They looked suspiciously like attendants to your elder brother's superior, Commander Zhao." I turned away guiltily, refusing to acknowledge her. Mother's face clouded with worry. "Why would Commander Zhao send you gifts?" My sister-in-law added with a touch of bitterness. "Mother, it's obvious. Commander Zhao must have taken a fancy to our little sister and is trying to curry favor." Mother stared at me in shock, then glanced at my sister-in-law. "Don't be ridiculous. What background does Commander Zhao have? How could he possibly fancy wire?" She was right. Given Zhao Tua's background, even if I were the first wife, it would still be a stretch. Sis is so fortunate, but the Zhao family's status is so high. As a divorced woman, she'd likely only become a concubine if she married in. Our Song family couldn't bear such shame. Though she spoke thus, her eyes were filled with envy. Mother scolded, "Nonsense. How dare you slander your sister's reputation with such baseless accusations?" My sister-in-law fell silent, her eyes darting about. "Zhao is such a bore. Everyone else brings jewels and trinkets as gifts, but he sends nourishing tonics. With so many sisters, none of us could possibly use them all. My sister-in-law just gave birth. I'll take some back to help her recover." She reached to take them, but I grabbed her hand. "These are betrothal gifts meant for me as a concubine. How could we accept them? If you take them, people will say the Song family sold their daughter for glory, that we're too proud to stoop to such things." My sister-in-law choked on her words, shot me a resentful glance, and reluctantly withdrew her hand. Within days, whispers began circulating throughout the capital. Rumors spread that Commander Zhao Tua had set his sights on the younger sister of a subordinate who'd divorced her husband, intending to take her as a concubine. My elder brother, upon hearing this, was consumed with rage. He traced the rumor back layer by layer, only to discover my sister-in-law was the instigator. She protested tearfully. "I only mentioned it in passing when visiting my parents. Who knew it would spread like wildfire?" My brother was too furious for words. As Wire's blood sister-in-law, how could you spread such baseless rumors and ruin her reputation? If she hadn't done such things, people wouldn't be left to imagine the worst. My sister-in-law stubbornly defended herself. Enraged, my brother slapped her across the face. She ran back to her parents' home, sobbing, consumed by guilt. He came to my house to encourage me. "You were only slandered because you saved me back then. Rest assured, with me here, no one can defame you." I stared at him, momentarily speechless. "Brother, could it be? It wasn't about you at all." The urgent matter wasn't silencing the rumors, but resolving this trouble brewing inside me. Otherwise, in a few months when my belly grew, my bad reputation would be cemented. Early the next morning, Sueya and I prepared to slip out of the house. As I opened the courtyard gate, a figure stood in the morning light. Lu Yuming. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was seeing things. A fine layer of dew clung to his shoulders. Who knew how long had been standing there? The moment he saw me, his face flushed with anger and resentment. "You've barely been gone from the Lu household a month, and already, you've lost all sense of decency." I was utterly bewildered. "What do you want?" Seeing my clueless expression only fueled his fury. "Do you think the Zhao family is so easy to marry into? A vain woman like you will never end well." He waited at the gate this early just to berate me. It suddenly dawned on me. Lu Yuming. Who I choose to marry is none of your business. You wouldn't happen to be jealous, would you? Lu Yuming was both furious and flustered. Don't be ridiculous. A shameless woman like you. I just couldn't stand by and watch. Instead of being on duty at this hour, you're eagerly waiting at my door to spout nonsense. Does your wife Qingyang know about this? I couldn't help but sneer. Sueya planted her hands on her hips and stepped in front of me. Master Lu thought his wife couldn't live without him, but now she's adored by all. You're so furious you're practically jumping up and down. How amusing. Too bad it's too late for regrets. Sueya and I traded barbs, leaving Lu Yuming livid. Ignorant woman. A gentleman like Zhao Tua would never set his sights on a divorced woman like you. Stop deluding yourself. Zhao Tua here had no idea he was so despicable in the eyes of compiler Lu. Zhao Tua emerged from around the street corner. His arrival unexpected. Caught red-handed slandering someone behind their back. Lu Yuming looked utterly flustered. I, however, gasped inwardly. Why was Zhao Tua here? Summoning his courage, Lu Yuming demanded. What brings you here so early? Magistrate Zhao. Zhao Tua raised an eyebrow. And what might Editor Lu be doing here? Chui's face lit up with excitement. They're fighting. Still wanting to watch the show. I yanked her into the courtyard and slammed the gate shut. What rotten luck being stalked and ambushed by both my ex-husband and my lover. Then confronted face to face. No one else in this world could possibly have it worse than me. I hid at home for a day. Come evening, the gate knocked again. A well-dressed matron offered a slight bow. Madam Song. The Princess of Qingyang requests your presence. Polite yet unmistakably commanding. My mind exploded with a thunderous crash. It's over. This time, the princess herself has come. My mind was filled with poisoned wine and white silk. In a daze, I was led to the Zhao residence. So you are the woman Tuor has been searching for. Seated at the head of the table, the princess sipped her tea with deliberate slowness. You're quite the catch. Rumors of you and him have spread throughout the capital. In all these years, no woman has ever entangled Tuor like this. A cold sweat trickled down my forehead as I stammered. I dare not. Dare not. What is it you dare not? Her voice suddenly rose, startling me into a trembling kneel. Your Highness, it's all a misunderstanding. I never intended anything with Commander Zhao, nor did he with me. Commander Zhao's affections belong to. I desperately recalled the name Head mentioned that day. It's Miss Rangier. The princess' expression darkened. She sprang to her feet and clamped her hand over my mouth. Shoo. That name must not be spoken. She hastily dismissed the attendants, keeping only one trusted maid to serve her. Only then did the princess' expression soften slightly. She took my hand and whispered, he even told you about Rangier, and claimed you two had no connection. I froze. What was the princess playing at? I've already investigated. You're divorced. A woman of your status would never have been worthy of Tuor. Her eyes suddenly welled with tears. But all these years, Tuor hasn't set his sights on any other woman. His heart belongs solely to that one woman. Yet, how could he covet the crown prince's woman? If the crown prince holds a grudge, it won't just be him. The entire Zhao family could face utter ruin. A storm of shock surged within me. I knew the woman who held such power over Commander Zhao couldn't be ordinary, but his audacity is staggering to compete with the crown prince over a woman. No wonder he's still unmarried at his age. The princess choked back tears. These years, his career has been plagued by setbacks. No doubt the crown prince's hand is in it. If this continues, Tuor is finished. But now that word of your affair has spread throughout the capital, it conveniently absolves him of suspicion. Once the crown prince learns of it, perhaps he'll cease persecuting him. At this point, the prince's expression suddenly brightened. I hear this lad is quite smitten with you, following your every move. Now that he's finally seen the light, I can rest easy. May you marry soon and give me a plump grandson, then my life's wish would be fulfilled. The prince's train of thought raced ahead, leaving me struggling to keep up. How had we jumped straight to marriage and grandchildren in the blink of an eye? Just as I was about to protest, Zhao Tuo burst in. Mother, don't put her through this. His face twisted with anguish as he threw himself to his knees before the princess. Mother, that day I was drunk and lost my virtue, defiling Miss Song. I've been consumed by shame ever since, trying every way to make amends. Please don't let her do anything rash. It truly wasn't her fault. The princess pointed at his nose. Indulged in debauchery. How many women have I sent to your quarters over the years? Not just when drunk, I've even drugged them before. And you never once lost control. Why did you suddenly fail this time? Who are you trying to fool? Ah, was I supposed to hear this? The esteemed Princess Qingyang actually drugged her own son. She must be desperate for a daughter-in-law. Zhao Tuo's face flushed crimson. Mother, I've always lived with integrity, loving only one woman. Rinjir invited me out this time, but after waiting all day, she sent word she wouldn't come. My frustration led me to drink too much, and I committed this terrible sin, ruining Song's virtue. I truly didn't mean to. The princess flew into a rage upon hearing this. She invited you and you went. Do you realize she is now the crown prince's consort? A royal daughter-in-law. If the crown prince finds out, do you think you and she will live? She's ruining you. Zhao Tuo hung his head in anguish. Silent. But I caught the drift. First, that day Zhao Tuo had intended to meet with the crown prince's consort. Second, Zhao Tuo believed he had wronged me, completely unaware that I was the one who had forced myself upon him. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. I cautiously spoke up. Minister Zhao, I don't need you to take responsibility. So, can you let me go now? Zhao Tuo looked both ashamed and anxious. What woman wouldn't care about such a thing? Especially with your current condition. He glanced at my belly. I hastily waved my hands. Minister Zhao, I forgive you. Whatever happens from now on has nothing to do with you. Impossible. I must compensate you, or my conscience will never rest. Minister Zhao, I had no choice but to put on a look of utter heartbreak. Must you make this known to everyone, ruining my reputation before you'll relent? He fell silent abruptly, his shame intensifying. Ah, it's all my fault. Was he finally backing down? Overjoyed, I only then realized I was still kneeling on the floor. This mother and son had talked for so long without once offering to help me up. I thought bitterly, gritting my teeth as I rose. But after kneeling so long, darkness flooded my vision and I fainted. Opening my eyes, I found myself lying on an intricately carved bed. The princess stared at me intently. Seeing me awake, her face immediately broke into a joyful smile. This child truly is a lucky star, conceived on the very first try. Already 2 months along, and you're so careless. Kneeling just now, what if something had happened? Seeing the old physician tidying his medicine chest nearby, I knew had already taken my pulse. Zhao Tuo stood nearby, his expression complex. The princess turned to him and shouted, I don't care. This time, you must marry Song's wife. My grandson can't be a bastard. Zhao Tuo's face twisted in anguish. Mother, I swore never to betray Rinjir. How could I marry another? But you wronged Song's wife. Can you bear to watch her endure gossip? Do you want to be the one who shirks responsibility? The princess alternated threats and enticements. He turned his face away, his conflict deepening. Zhao Tuo was a man of unwavering principles. He had promised Rinjir he would never marry another. Yet he also felt that having wronged me, he must take responsibility. Otherwise, his conscience would torment him. Had he been more frivolous, he would never have fallen into this predicament. In that sense, he was still a man of virtue, a rare quality in this world. But no matter how good he was, a man who harbors another woman in his heart is unacceptable. I rose from the bed and smoothed my robes. Princess, Though the Song family is not distinguished and I am divorced, I still have my pride. The Zhao family is beyond my station, and I have no desire to climb higher. I only ask that you release me to live my own life. The princess had always assumed that if Zhao Tuo agreed, nothing could stand in the way of this match. Given my status and circumstances, she likely assumed I'd be desperate for this marriage. Hearing my words, the prince's face fell with utter shock. Even Zhao Tuo seemed taken aback by my decisive refusal. Passing by him, I gave a light curtsy. As for that day, Minister Zhao, consider it a dream. Let it be forgotten. I now have my own household and no interest in marriage. Rest assured, Your Excellency, you need not trouble me again. Zhao Tuo opened his mouth but no words came out. Gazing at the broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted man before me, I silently lamented. Such a fine physique, and I could only sleep with him that one time in this lifetime. My sister-in-law seemed to have planted a spy in my household. The very next day, she came rushing over from her parents' home to taunt me. I hear Princess Qingyang personally sent men to take you away yesterday. Were you flogged or banished from the capital? The Zhao family's status is far beyond your reach. You've caused chaos in others' homes, and now it's finally come back to haunt you. She blamed all the discord with her brother on me. After a day of dread and fear, I was utterly exhausted and had no energy to deal with her. Midway through her tirade, envoys from Princess Qingyang suddenly arrived bearing gifts. This time, it wasn't just ginseng and bird's nest, there was also cordyceps, donkey hide gelatin, shark's fin, and abalone. Add to that gold and silver jewelry, pearls, and agate. The matron, presenting a bolt of imperial-grade plain cloud brocade, beamed with delight. The princess says this plain cloud silk is soft and clings to the skin. It would make the finest mattress cover for the lady of the house, ensuring the sweetest sleep. My sister-in-law's eyes widened. Plain cloud silk was worth its weight in gold. Even noble ladies treasured a few yards of it, using it only for intimate undergarments. What respectable family would use it so carelessly for a mattress? The Princess Nouveau riche behavior made my head spin. I could only say, these are too precious. I cannot accept them. Please take them back, Your Highness. But the matron set them down and walked away, saying over her shoulder, Go speak with the princess yourself, madam. She wished to visit personally, but feared you might be frightened and body. If you would see her, she would be overjoyed. My sister-in-law stared in disbelief. What kind of mind-altering potion did you give the princess and her son? I had no time for her. My mind consumed with anguish. The princess hadn't given up. She was determined to achieve her goal. That evening, Zhao Tuo came to visit again. Quietly, You needn't concern yourself with my mother. If you wish to rid yourself of this burden, I can arrange for the finest physician and procure the mildest abortion medicine, he inquired in a subdued tone. I stroked my belly, remaining silent for a long while before speaking. If I say I wish to keep this child, would Lord Zhao consider me an immoral woman? How could that be? It was clearly my fault that harmed you. I've established my own household and won't remarry. This child is mine alone. I won't use him to threaten you or the princess. Nor will he claim the Zhao family's inheritance. I only want my own flesh and blood to rely on and keep me company. Lord Zhao, can you allow him to stay? Half of Zhao Tuo's figure stood in the night shadows, his expression hard to discern. After a long pause, he sighed deeply. I've already wronged my wife, how could I refuse her wish? But this child exists because of me. Should my wife ever need assistance, she must let me know. Zhao Tuo turned to leave, but I called after him, Lord Zhao, you blame yourself for my suffering. But if I told you that day I wasn't forced, you wouldn't need to feel such guilt. He looked utterly stunned, then fled in panic, clutching my burning cheeks. I asked myself, what on earth was I doing? Telling the truth just scared him away, but perhaps it was for the best. With him no longer pestering me, I could finally live in peace. After all, I only craved his body, never intended to share my life with him. Yet within days, Zhao Tuo returned. I lay lazily on my bed, instructing Tsueya. I crave those sour cabbage buns from West Street. He glanced at my thickened waist. His expression resigned. Let her attend to you. I'll fetch them. I promised whatever you need. I won't refuse. I wanted to ask why had returned, but couldn't be bothered to speak. With Zhao Tuo's numerous servants, having him run errands was indeed far more convenient than sending Tsueya. The princess persisted relentlessly in sending me money and gifts, even promising to send several trustworthy servants for personal attendance. Had Zhao Tuan not intervened, she likely would have forcibly married me into the Zhao family. Such attentiveness quickly set the capital abuzz once more. Rumors swirled that the princess and her son had fallen under some strange spell, obsessively pursuing a divorced woman they wished to marry, yet she refused. I felt a flicker of dread. Might these whispers displease the princess, leading her to make my life miserable again? After some time, Zhao Tua's servant brought me a famous capital delicacy: scallion pancakes with pork cracklings. He cheerfully said, "Master promised to buy these for the lady earlier, but these past few days, the crown prince has several tasks for our young master to handle. He couldn't spare the time himself, so he sent me to deliver them and tell the lady to let me know if she wants anything else." My heart stirred slightly. The princess had once mentioned the crown prince had been suppressing Zhao Tuo for that woman's sake. Now it seemed their past grievances had been resolved. A few more days passed, and the matron attending the princess came again, bearing tonics and silver. She beamed at me the moment she saw me. "The princess says you truly are a lucky charm. Word on the street is that the young master admired you but couldn't win your heart." When the crown prince heard this, he actually set aside his suspicions and began assigning him tasks. I chuckled inwardly. These powerful figures conduct themselves like children at play. Life and death, reward and punishment, all hinge on personal whims. The matron continued. "The princess says, while your body isn't yet heavy, you should get out more. It's not good to stay cooped up at home all the time. The peach blossoms at Nanjing Temple are in bloom. The lady could go admire them. The princess is also planning to offer incense there. It would be a good chance to meet her. She's been thinking of you often lately." The princess isn't thinking of me at all. She's clearly thinking of the child in my womb. Still, going out for a walk would be good. I could thank the princess while I'm at it. These days, rumors swirl like dust in the wind. Yet I sit safely at home. Even my mother and elder brother remain largely unaffected. I know it's her and Zhao Tuo who secretly protect us. On the official road at the foot of Nanjing Temple, a luxurious carriage approached Heaton. It stopped not far ahead of me, seemingly waiting. Behind me followed several maids sent by the princess to escort me out. The moment they saw the crest on the carriage, their expressions changed. "Madam, please wait. My mistress wishes to speak with you." A well-dressed maid stepped forward to stop me. Curious, I approached her. The maids behind me exchanged glances. One hurried away, seemingly to relay a message. The carriage curtain was half drawn, obscuring the face of the woman in fine robes within. "Are you the divorced woman who captivated a Tuo?" Her bluntness instantly soured my impression. I dare not claim such praise. "Did you stop me merely to say this?" The princess maids cautiously supported me as my hand instinctively rested on my lower abdomen. The woman inside seemed to inhale sharply. "You and he." Tuo swore had remained pure for me. Had never been with any woman before. I never imagined had be with you. I was utterly astonished. So Zhao Tuo was a virgin. No wonder he seemed so inexperienced that time, letting me have my way. Thinking this, I suddenly felt like I'd gotten the better end of the deal. Never mind. At least because of this, His Highness no longer suspects me and a Tuo. It's not entirely a bad thing. She gave a bitter smile. I inwardly scoffed. Zhao Tuo really had terrible luck with women. This woman clearly had a status that forbade anyone from provoking her. Yet day after day, she strung him along, unable to bear seeing him grow close to any other woman. If I truly had feelings for Zhao Tuo, her few words would have been enough to tear us apart. Before I could speak, Zhao Tuo rushed over from somewhere and stepped in front of me. Please, Consort Liang, don't make things difficult for her. Zhao Tuo, have we grown so distant? Are you shielding her because you fear I might harm her? The woman's voice trembled with anger. She's just an ordinary woman. A single word from you could bring disaster upon her. None of this concerns her. Besides, our statuses are worlds apart. How could there be any estrangement? Zhao Tuo's expression was bitter. Yet he remained firmly planted before me. The woman sighed deeply, lowered the carriage curtain, and ordered the driver to continue. Zhao Tuo tugged my sleeve, pulling me aside. As the carriage passed, the figure behind the window seemed to turn and glance this way, their gaze settling on his hand clutching mine. Only upon entering Nanjing Temple did the princess hurry to meet us. Her face flushed with anxiety as she scanned me. Only after confirming I was unharmed did she utter, trembling with relief, "That was perilous indeed." His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was on the viewing platform just moments ago. It turned out the Crown Prince had also accompanied his female relatives to burn incense today. He had witnessed everything that happened on the pipeline. Not only that, but he had specifically invited the princess to join him. Only when he saw Zhao Tuo shielding me behind him and keeping a safe distance from Lady Liang's carriage did he give a slight nod. Zhao Tuo has always been talented. It's just that these past years he's been distracted by trivial matters. Now that he's come to his senses, he's bound to have a bright future ahead. This seemingly random remark brought the princess visible relief. Only then did the princess regain her composure, her voice still tinged with indignation. That woman nearly harmed my son again. If Wire hadn't been here today, the Crown Prince would surely have grown suspicious once more. Zhao Tuo kept his head bowed, offering no reply. Only after the princess had vented her anger did he speak. If mother is well, your son will return to his duties. He had been handling affairs nearby when his servant, secretly assigned to protect me, sent word. That's why he rushed over in such a hurry. As he left, I thanked him, but he said, "Today was truly perilous. You have no idea what those people are capable of." I felt bewildered. These entanglements of the powerful and influential were beyond my understanding. After this incident, I felt even more fortunate that I hadn't agreed to the prince's proposal. Otherwise, I might have died 100 times over. The princess never mentioned it again, but she became even more discreet in attending to my daily needs. As the months passed, I stayed hidden away at home, never venturing out. Yet another rumor began circulating throughout the capital. It claimed I was barren, and thus had no place in my husband's family. The princess and Zhao Tuo must have been deceived. Zhao Tuo was furious upon hearing this, several times wanting to fight for me. But I knew full well who could spread such rumors. It could only be that person. When Zhao Tuo found out, he turned and left, leaving me only a few words. "Wait, I'll avenge you." A few days later, word came that Liu Yaoting had vomited and had diarrhea at an official banquet, collapsing unconscious. When the imperial physician examined him, he discovered not only food poisoning but also infertility. It was said that Liu Yaoting, having regained consciousness, soon fell unconscious again. This matter should have remained confidential, but with so many servants present that day, someone with a loose tongue inevitably spread the news. Thus, Liu Yaoting's secret of being unable to father children became common knowledge. Those who knew him well couldn't help but recall his ex-wife, banished from the family, and his many concubines who had never borne him children. And of course, there was Chen Xiao, his mistress who had given birth to his only legitimate child. One day, Sueya went out to buy something for me. When she opened the door, she found Liu Yaoting standing stiffly outside. His beard was unkempt, his appearance disheveled. The moment he saw Sueya, he grabbed her arm and began wailing, startling her completely. I was blinded by greed back then, trusting that whore Chen Xiao All these years I've been raising another man's bastard, betraying my wife's pure devotion. Word spread that Chen Xiao had heard the news early on, before Lu Yuming could confront her. Had packed up the silver and fled with their son. Lu Yuming beat his chest in anguish. Only now do I realize how good my wife truly is, generous and dutiful, managing the household flawlessly. I was the fool who traded pearls for fish eyes. I've come back to take her home. From now on, they'll cherish her and ignore all the gossip about her and Zhao Tuo. Sueya was furious, searching everywhere for a broom to drive him out. He persisted in clinging to her, but I pushed open the gate and walked out. Lu Yuming stared at my rounded belly, his mouth gaping wide enough to swallow an egg. You are pregnant. You saw it yourself. There's no way I'm going back with you. I lazily rubbed my lower back. And this child, whose is it? He still refused to accept it. None of your business. Now get out of here and stop bothering my wife. Sueya finally found the broom and swung it, ready to drive Lu Yuming away. Just then, Zhao Tuo arrived, carrying an oil paper package. I got the pork knuckle you wanted. Rich but not greasy, freshly made at Yupinju. Just like you requested. Lu Yuming's eyes widened as he looked from me to Zhao Tuo. The child is his. Sueya planted her hands on her hips. Now you know who was the one with delusions. Huh. Lu Yuming's face turned from green to white, then white to red. After a long moment of pent-up fury, he finally spat out, "Adulterous whore and her lover." Zhao Tuo turned, his eyes flashing with dangerous warning. Editor Lu still hasn't learned how to behave. Madame Song divorced you long ago. She's now established herself independently. Even if she's pregnant and gives birth, it's under her name. Where's the adultery? It's you who've committed multiple crimes. Engaging in debauchery in your inner quarters during the national mourning period. Favoring your concubine over your wife. Abusing your power for personal gain. And forming factions for private interests. With all these offenses, how dare you concern yourself with others? Lu Yuming's face turned deathly pale, cold sweat pouring down his forehead. How could he have forgotten? Zhao Tuo had recently been heavily relied upon. Involved in many affairs within the capital, investigating a minor compiler like him would be as easy as turning over one's hand. He dared say no more. His eyes red as he retreated. But Zhao Tuo had no intention of letting Lu Yuming off. Soon, news spread that Lu Yuming's crimes had been exposed. Multiple charges piled against him. He was imprisoned and exiled, though his in-laws escaped direct involvement. Without my dowry to sustain them and having been swindled out of a large sum by Chen Xiao, the Lu household fell into dire poverty. In the end, they had no choice but to sell their mansion and return to the countryside to farm for a living, unable to afford Lu Yuming's numerous concubines any longer. They were all sold off. Whether they would ever encounter another mistress as forgiving as me was entirely up to their luck. When my brother and mother learned of this, they both said it served them right. I know the Song family hasn't been at peace lately either. My brother and mother have never found comfort. My sister-in-law is demanding a divorce. She claims my brother and mother mistreat her, insisting she must return to establish her own household. This sister-in-law is simply greedy. Mother is kind-hearted, never causing trouble for her daughter-in-law. She even handed over the household management to my sister-in-law early on. Sometimes when she used the Song family's money to support her own family, mother turned a blind eye. Though my brother lacks romantic sensibility, he's an upright man who lives a steady life. They pleaded with her. The children are grown. Why divorce over such trifles? Any family discord can be resolved through open discussion. My sister-in-law glared fiercely. If Song Yue can divorce and start her own household, why can't I? I see you just don't want to let me go, dragging me down to be a slave to the Song family for the rest of my life. She probably hoped to meet another Zhao Tuo. When I heard this, I only smiled without comment. Everything depends on chance and circumstance. It can be encountered but not sought. How could everyone have such extraordinary luck? Besides, I still had my natal family to stand by me. Rumors swirled ceaselessly in the capital, and my unwed pregnancy was undeniable. Yet my brother and mother never uttered a word of reproach. Instead, they showered me with constant care and concern. Later, my sister-in-law's tantrums grew more frequent, a minor outburst every 3 days, a major one every 5. Exhausted, Mother finally urged my brother. Why not just let her go? My brother remained silent for a long time before finally pressing his seal onto the divorce papers. He organized all my sister-in-law's dowry items and let her take them back to her family's home, untouched. Knowing her family's reputation, he knew her future would be far from easy. She couldn't wait to leave that very day. Not even the child's tearful pleas could hold her back. After the divorce, my brother sank into a deep depression for quite some time. Zhao Tuo learned of this and said he was currently in need of capable men. My brother, skilled in martial arts, decisive, and loyal, was perfectly suited for the role of reorganizing the military camp. My brother was sent on an assignment for a year, achieved considerable success, and rose several ranks in his official position. Later, my sister-in-law returned to the Song family several times, hinting at a possible reconciliation. She looked haggard, as if she had aged several years in just 1 year. Her maternal family refused to establish her as a female household, and her dowry had been almost entirely swallowed up by my brother and sister-in-law. Upon learning this, my brother swiftly brought our mother and child to his posting in another region, ensuring my sister-in-law could never find them again. He said, "The day she abandoned me and our child without a second thought, our bond was severed." My brother was a man of stark principles, valuing loyalty above all else. Those who betrayed him could never hope to win his forgiveness. Later, my child was born a plump, healthy boy. After my confinement period ended, Zhao Tuo came to see me, holding the baby with a complex expression. I asked, "Do your earlier words still hold?" He looked at me questioningly. "What you told Lu Yuming that day, that I've made my own way in the world, and even if I got pregnant and had a child, it would be under my name." Emotions churned in his eyes as he murmured, "If you want me to take responsibility for you and the child, I could marry you as my legitimate wife. My mother has been urging me to anyway." I gave a mocking laugh. If that's what I wanted, why would I wait until after the child was born? Why endure all this gossip for nothing? He sighed. "My feelings for you go beyond just responsibility. I can't quite explain it. After all, you're my first." Seeing the mockery in my eyes, Zhao Tuo flushed. "Enough. I'll do as you wish. I've never been my own master since childhood. I don't want you and the child to follow in my footsteps." So when the baby was 3 months old, a small carriage left the capital from my home, with my child, Sueya, her wet nurse, and ample silver notes for our journey. I set off toward a life of true freedom. Chui's face was full of fresh curiosity. "Mother, are we going to join Uncle?" Holding my child, my smile had never felt so light and content. Perhaps we'll seek refuge with my elder brother and mother, or find a suitable place to settle. Either way, we'll wander the mountains and rivers, making our home wherever we roam. Sueya glanced at the infant in her swaddling clothes. Would the princess allow the bloodline of the Zhao family to be scattered abroad? If everything isn't arranged beforehand, could we truly leave the city unhindered? I imagine the princess has also made compromises. I lowered my gaze, tenderly watching the sleeping infant in my arms, and joked playfully, "If all else fails, this child can always inherit the Zhao family's estate later. What happens when the child grows up is for him to decide. All I know is that in this life, I will be the master of my own destiny." The end.